don't really want to wait 30 seconds and want actual to the point answer, don't worry, I got you. And the answer is, of course, yes. Detroit Become Human is a really good game that deserves your time and your money. And what's most important, this is one of the few games that I can easily recommend to literally everyone, including non-gamers. So if you want to get this game to the people who you want to get into the gaming, this is one of such games. It is easy to play, very easy to understand, very easy to get into, and it might pull some heartstrings for some people, depending on how they will play. But let me get into details. Let me get into explaining what Detroit Become Human actually is, for the people who want to know more and is not satisfied by simple yes or no answer, and why do I think that it is worth it, especially for non-gamers. Now, first things first, when I said that it's worth it for non-gamers, it doesn't mean that it's not good enough for the hardcore gamers. It is. Detroit Become Human is a story game. This is not a game where you will need extremely twitchy reactions. Well, of course, you will need it here, but if you won't have it, you're actually gonna affect the story. So whether you are good at gaming or not good at gaming, you're just gonna have a different story outcome. But now, enough mumbling, let's explain what this game actually is. So Detroit Become Human is a story narrative game that is happening in the near future. It's happening in the year 2038 in the US, well, Detroit to be specifically, which is now fully integrated with androids. Androids are basically everywhere. They're in every aspect of human lives, in every aspect of labor, and you are seeing the economic effect of having such a large power in your country. And not getting into spoilers, don't worry, we're gonna have a very minor spoilers. Something is happening and those androids are kind of like awakening. And you have a very typical machine uprising story. Not, well, typical, I said typical in quotes because it's not really typical. Now, it's actually really down to the ground. Very realistic explanation how this story would usually go. What AI means and how AI can actually change and how this change will affect other humans and how humans would react to it. And that is the thing that I like the most about this game. This is not simple, oh, machines are evil or humans are evil and you are fighting between white and black. This is entire story between the moral shades of gray. And I absolutely love it. Now, storytelling perspective, you're gonna have three different main characters that you're gonna play with. It's Connor, Marcus, and Kara. Their stories start completely separately and they will intertwine and will meet each other and then separate from each other and things like that. But they usually explain the same story happening in Detroit and in around the entire androids. And their stories are very different. One is trying to find and understand what does being an android means. One is trying to find and understand how androids can actually live with the people. Another is trying to fight between his, well, conscious human side and his robotic android side. And they are very different characters from each other. And what I like about this game is that the game has very interesting system called flowchart. Or flowchart actually shows different decisions that you can make at any point in a mission. And other decisions also affect whether you can actually use these decisions or pathways in order to progress forward. And you have a very branching storyline within each mission. Yes, game has a mission structure, meaning that you're going from one mission to another, etc. Most missions you are playing with a single character, but some you're playing with multiple characters. Like for example, when Connor's or Marcus's or Kara's storyline are actually intertwined or diverge or get close together at some point. Now you have a multiple branching storylines, and if I will tell you that, yeah, you're gonna have a you're gonna have a lot of different endings with each mission, you will not. Usually you have around 3 to 5 different endings to these missions, and they are actually quite, well, big and quite affecting your overall storyline. But the interesting part is how it actually plays, because the gameplay is extremely simple. What you usually do in a free gameplay, the gameplay which is not literally a quick time events, you're just gonna move around a certain territory and get different clues or find and get more information about certain things or do very rudimentary things to other characters. Yet I'm not gonna again spoil you anything. And there are not a lot of gameplay. You get to the point, to the spot, and then you perform some action. That's literally it. And you usually don't have time to perform every action that you can, and you need to be very careful what actions you will choose. Like for example, at some points you in a storyline, you have a dialogue options, and you have, let's say, around 4 to 5 dialogue options that you can choose, but you cannot actually use them all. In reality, you have time to use only 1 or 2 of them until someone else will interrupt you or other character will interrupt you and move the story forward. So there are a lot of things that actually change and affect your gameplay. But the main action part of the gameplay is, of course, the quick time events. Yes, at some points within the cutscenes, you're gonna see flashing, well, buttons, and those button positions are not always the same. So you need to be very careful at looking where these buttons might actually flash. And you can have multiple different actions like pressing or holding or tapping multiple times, and you need to be very careful in using them. And if you will use them correctly, you're gonna progress story in a different way. If you're gonna use some of them wrongly, you're gonna have some other branching storyline, or if you're gonna fail them all, you're gonna have, well, another branching storyline, including game over. And it's not as difficult as you might understand. I have failed very little in QuickTime events. I'm not a bad gamer, but I'm not particularly amazing at it as well, but it was not that difficult to perform QuickTime events. You just need to understand which buttons does what, and on PC it can be a little bit difficult because you have a mouse option as well, and you need to actually use mouse in a different ways to actually perform those QuickTime events. And overall, this game is very easy to play. Very, very easy to play. And that's why I'm telling you that it's the greatest game for the non-gamers. It's very easy to get into. All you need to do is understand where each buttons are. That's it. But what will affect those people and everyone, gamer or non-gamer, is the story itself. It's very deep and very personal, and you will get to know your characters very, very well. What they think, how they react, what they will want or what they will not want. You are affecting this gameplay quite in a huge way. You can choose to be good or bad or morally gray or whatever way that you want to play. And what's really interesting and really fun is that you can actually return to the previous missions to see how would the game will change if you had made this certain specific decision at certain point in a game. That's what I like the most, because this flowchart is actually not just a chart that shows you how you actually acted or how you can actually act in the certain missions. It actually shows you a checkpoint system, because some points are, well, literally checkpoints from where you can actually continue playing, which I absolutely love, allowing you to change your decisions not just by playing this from the very beginning, but by actually changing at any point that you want in the game. And what's also interesting is a meta game in the game, because in the menu of the game you have a certain android character that talks to you constantly, and she actually changes based on the decisions that you will make, and she will ask some questions, and you can actually play the game in the menu as well. You also gain different amounts of points by completing different types of things in the game that you can exchange for, well, some things in a gallery, like 3D representations of your different characters, or some artworks, or some soundtrack, or whatever it is. It just gives you some currency to, well, exchange it into something. But everything can be good or bad if the price is right. So how much Detroit Become Human will cost you? Well, at full price, this game is $40 game on Steam. Not bad, right? Would I pay $40 for this? No. It will take around 12 hours to complete the game, but if you want to complete everything, it might take you upwards around 25 to 30 hours. Still, I would not pay $40 for this. But on a sale, it costs only $12 in US, 70% off, or your regional equivalent. So will I pay this price for this? Yes, I would definitely would. For $12 is actually really, really good price, and it's really, really worth it. So if you're watching this during one of those sales, well, I would suggest you to get it. It's 100% worth it. Or if not, you can always go to Instant Gaming. And this video is sponsored by channel's partner and supporter, Instant Gaming. If you want best games for the best prices all the time, all year round, without waiting for any sales, Instant Gaming is the way to go. You can find all types of games for all the different platforms, and most importantly, for the cheapest prices possible. And I also partner with Instant Gaming for epic game giveaway of your choice. So click the link in the description down below for your chance to win. Thanks to Instant Gaming for their support, and now let's get back to the video. And if you like the theme of Detroit Become Human and like single player story games, you of course will enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 that you can watch the review of right here. Or if you want to play with a friend or your significant another one, you can always play It Takes Two. You can watch my review of it right here. Don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This is me for today. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care.